Not every statue in the cemetery stands still. For years, locals had whispered about the weeping angel of Crestwood Cemetery. The statue stood tall at the center of the graveyard, its head bowed, hands covering its face as if eternally mourning. Its marble surface was weathered and cracked, streaked with years of rain. People said that if you visited the angel at night, you could hear it weep. Caroline didn't believe the stories. She was a skeptic, always looking for logical explanations. So when her friends dared her to visit the cemetery after dark, she didn't hesitate. Armed with a flashlight and a camera, she walked through the rusty gates under the cover of night. The cemetery was eerily quiet, the moonlight casting long shadows over the tombstones. Her boots crunched on the gravel path as she made her way to the statue. When it finally came into view, she paused. Despite her skepticism, the sight of the weeping angel unsettled her. It loomed larger than she'd expected, its sorrowful posture exuding an almost tangible grief. She lifted her camera and snapped a photo. As the flash illuminated the angel, Caroline thought she saw something move in the corner of her eye. She lowered the camera, her heart skipping a beat, but the cemetery was still. Shaking her head, she dismissed it as nerves. She circled the statue, her flashlight casting a warm glow over its surface. "Just a hunk of rock," she muttered, more to reassure herself than anything else. But as she stepped closer, she noticed something odd, streaks of moisture trailing down the angel's face, glistening in the light. It looked like tears. Caroline's pulse quickened. Condensation, she told herself, reaching out to touch the marble. The surface was cold and dry. She frowned, wiping her hand on her jeans. A sudden rustling sound behind her made her spin around, flashlight sweeping the darkness. Nothing. Just rows of tombstones and gnarled trees swaying gently in the breeze. But the feeling of being watched prickled at the back of her neck. Then she heard it, a faint, muffled sob. The sound was soft but unmistakable, coming from the direction of the angel. Caroline turned back to the statue, her hands trembling as she raised the flashlight. The angel hadn't moved. Its hands still covered its face, its posture unchanged. But the sobbing grew louder, filling the air around her. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice shaking. The sobbing stopped abruptly, replaced by a heavy silence. Caroline's breath hitched as the beam of her flashlight flickered. She slapped it against her palm, muttering under her breath. When the light steadied, she froze. The angel's hands had shifted. They were no longer covering its face, but reaching outward, as if beckoning her closer. Its eyes, once hidden, were hollow and dark, staring directly at her. Caroline stumbled backward, her flashlight falling to the ground. The beam cast wild, erratic shadows as it rolled, making the angel seem to loom larger. She scrambled to pick it up, her heart pounding in her ears. "Leave," a voice whispered, low and mournful. Caroline spun around, but no one was there. When she turned back, the angel had moved. It was closer now, its marble arms outstretched, its head tilted as if studying her. Panicking, she bolted for the cemetery gates, the flashlight beam bouncing wildly in front of her. The sound of stone scraping against stone followed her, growing louder with each step. She didn't dare look back. Caroline didn't stop running until she was safe inside her car, the doors locked and her hands gripping the steering wheel. She looked back at the cemetery, half expecting to see the angel standing at the gates. But the graveyard was empty, silent except for the rustling of leaves. She never returned to Crestwood Cemetery, but the experience haunted her. Friends who visited afterward claimed the angel looked different, its arms no longer reaching out, but folded over its chest as if guarding a secret. Some say the weeping angel only moves when it finds someone it deems worthy of its sorrow. Others believe it's a warning, a guardian protecting the cemetery's dead. Caroline didn't care to find out. Would you dare visit the weeping angel at night? Share your thoughts in the comments, And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that will keep you looking over your shoulder. Until next time, remember, not all statues stand still.